Well, conspiracy theories are now running wild within the Democrat Party as Jeffrey Epstein's brother has just dropped the biggest bombshell yet. And that is that he believes he knows who is behind his brother's death. In fact, he even named names. And you guys are going to be floored. Not only that, but while the Democrats are running these conspiracy theories, we have issues on our own side, specifically with Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, who are withholding information from the American public, telling us that the Epstein case is closed, everything is done, we've dropped everything we can because everything else doesn't matter. It's got bad stuff in it that you can't see. However, I beg to differ. I think there is more stuff that we can absolutely get our hands on. So I'm calling BS on all of it. And so is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Take a look at this. And she put this on her X page. What about her little black book? The 97-page book contains the name and contact details of almost 2,000 people, including world leaders, celebrities, and businessmen. No one believes that there is not a client list, and neither do I. I mean, heck, right here, we have Ghislaine Maxwell's little black book. It's tied up in court, but hey, I think the American public has the right to get their hands on that little black book. But hey, we've been told that there is no more stuff, but considering her case, right? Let's go on over to her case, because this right here also says a lot to me. This is a letter written to the courts, right? To the Honorable Allison Nathan by Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyers. And in there, they reference millions of tangible documents. And I've circled it here. Given the millions of documents that Miss Maxwell must receive before trial in order to prepare for her defense, it is critical that she gives as much time as possible with her laptop. They were making the case for the laptop. But while making the case for the laptop, they managed to say there are millions of documents. Now, I've got a lot to share with you, but just a quick break from my sponsor. Sometimes you see something and you think, I've got to have one of those in my life like yesterday. Well, these Trump sneakers that are gold are going to make you think just that. Take a look at these bad boys. They aren't just shoes. They're a full-on statement. They're bold. They're fearless. They're unapologetic and patriotic. And let me tell you, they don't just look good on your feet. They feel good as well. They're comfortable. They're lightweight, and they are durable. But you know what's best about these is they send a message, and a message, by the way, that liberals are not going to like. That is why you should check these out ASAP, and you can even buy them as a gift. All you have to do to check these bad boys out is go to the MAGAoffers.com/Lisa. That's the MAGAoffers.com/Lisa. And right now, if you go to my site, you can get it for 15% off just for my audience only. And by the way, you want to hurry up and get a jump on this because they are only selling 1,000 pairs. So check it out now. Anyhow, if you want more information, click that more button or click the link in the description box below. Speaking of all of these documents, I wonder what kind of things we could get from Jeffrey Epstein that don't include incriminating, horrible things on video, right? What kind of stuff could we get, right? Thinking of all these documents that Ghislaine has that she had to review for court. I'm pretty sure that had Epstein been alive, he would be reviewing things as well. Like, here's some other things we could get. How about follow-up statements from victims? Maybe some of those statements. They could examine Epstein's insider trading stocks, to identify financial crimes. Oh, maybe there's links in there to a stock trading, or hey, they could pull and check a suspicious activity report. We could get our hands on that generated by banks. When you have big transfers over $10,000, maybe we should see if there's any customers that mysteriously sent big chunks of money to Epstein. I mean, hey, this is just something. And what about his tax returns? They could look for sources of income. And hey, let's go back to the Florida prosecution, right? Where he was investigated in 2006, basically got a sweetheart deal slapped on the hand. Why don't we get more information on that? Who'd have thought? Just my 2 cents. But speaking of, let's get on to this conspiracy theory regarding Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother. Let's listen to the name that he is throwing out here. Take a listen.
You got Patel, you got Barr. All of these people work for Trump, okay? So if they're covering up for somebody, who do you think they might be covering up for?
So you think they're covering up for President Trump?
People look at all of it. Everybody is looking at little pieces of this and coming up with kind of theories. But people really take the time, because there's a lot of facts, there's a lot of information. People who take the time and really investigate this thoroughly all come to the pretty much conclusion that maybe Trump was behind this.
Uh-oh.
Wow. Well,
Maybe Jeff was killed to quiet him.
You think President Trump has something to do with Epstein, with your brother being killed?
I wouldn't write that off.
I wouldn't write that off, he says. I wouldn't write that off. Let me be very frank with you. What he's saying in there, it actually makes the case the opposite, right? Actually, at the end of this video, let me play this part, and then I'm going to give you my assessment, because Piers Morgan actually calls BS on it. Here's what he says.
I mean, that's an extraordinary thing to say, but there is zero evidence that Donald Trump had anything to do with your brother's death.
So he calls out his BS. Okay, anyway, there's zero chance. I absolutely agree with that. But here's how Mark Epstein actually made the case that it wasn't Donald Trump, even though he says Donald Trump could be behind it. Who do you think's behind it? He never said directly that Trump was behind it. He said, I think, I suspect. Well, who else would it be? That's the lingo he's using, which tells me he knows nothing. His brother never said anything to him incriminating regarding Donald Trump. This is just a hate fest between Mark Epstein, Mark hating Donald Trump. That's it. And the Democrats are taking this, saying, that's evidence. It's so true. Donald Trump is behind it. It's not evidence. Look, if Donald Trump was behind it, and I believe wholeheartedly that Trump is not, then the prior administration sure the heck would have released it. You've got this schmoke out there saying Donald Trump may have killed my brother. But notice the terms again. May have, might have, I don't know, I suspect. Because he doesn't know, and he doesn't have a clue at all. But of course, the Democrats, the mainstream media are taking this and running with it. Now I have another theory about what is going on here, and I actually agree with Mike Lee on this. And he published this on his site here. But here's Senator Mike Lee, and here's what he says, right? I've been asked today why I think Epstein might have been a government asset. Let's unpack the case. His connections of wealth and influence raised red flags. Was he just a financier or something more? Epstein's plea deal in 2008 was unusually lenient, right? This kind of stuff got dropped and he got a cushy deal, and prosecutors hinted at intelligence ties. Number 3, his personal network, who was a who's list that would make a king blush, included politicians, royalty, tech moguls, etc. Why did so many powerful people trust a felon? Right? Was he collecting dirt and for blackmail operations and honeypot operations? It really does fit the bill. Flight logs also show VIPs on the Lolita Express. No scrutiny for years. FBI and DOJ slow-walked investigation. Did powerful people shield them? Government agencies routinely use shady figures to gather intelligence, like MKUltra and Counterpol, right? It goes on, the source of Epstein's wealth remains unclear. To put it mildly, no clear record of how he amassed his vast fortune is there. Shell companies, shadow accounts. Hey, maybe that's why we should get some of his information, like the tax returns, his stock trades, so we can really find out what's going on. It goes on, number 6, his death in 2019 was quickly ruled a suicide. Cameras off, guards asleep, news questionable, too convenient, absolutely too convenient. Number 7, if he was a government asset, to be clear, he says, I have no knowledge of that beyond what I'm saying here, gleaned entirely from publicly reported non-classified sources. Silencing him would presumably protect the puppet masters. Who benefited from Epstein's silence? Amen, 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 amen. I agree. That's what I think is what's really going on. That he was an asset and they're covering their butts. That's what I think. And I don't disagree on that as well. And in fact, I think other people have thrown that out as well. But anyhow, wanted to bring you the latest on all of that. With that, please get on over to Restricted Republic. You want to sign up for that because this is where we have so much information, extra, additional that we're not posting anywhere else. And I really hope that you guys can go there, support what we do. And right now you can get it for $5 per month. Use the coupon code Lisa and the number 5. We've got some amazing videos on there and it's all commercial free. So you're not going to be bothered by commercials like you are here on YouTube. But anyhow, I guess with all of that, I love you guys. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.